All right, welcome back to another video, guys. So, back with another presentation. But as you can see from the title below and on this PowerPoint, let's dive right in. So, the mindset shift every man needs for fitness, money, and respect. Now, this is actually a very important video that I wanted to discuss on this channel. So, I'd advise to really take out your notes because I'm going to have some actionable steps that you can take starting today in order to shift your mindset that's needed, especially in today's age, guys. Like this is very important. Why? Because most men stay exactly where they are year after year, not because life is unfair, not because they don't have potential, but because of their mindset. So in this video, I'm gonna go over the difference between a growth mindset versus a fixed. Now, this ideology was presented to me from a past coach of mine in soccer. Shout out Coach Aiden. Now, he'll probably never see this video, but I got to give credit where it's due because this not only helped us prepare for our season going into season 2 with him, but it also helped me outside of the field, especially when it came to my day-to-day life, kind of having a different perspective when it came to a lot of things. So again, guys, I highly advise bringing out your notebook on this because this is something that can really change your life. So the one thing I want to talk about from jump is the fixed mindset trap, right? A fixed mindset is when you believe you're stuck with what you got. Everything, whatever, where you're living at, the food you're making, the money you're making, everything's just going to be just that and it's never going to change. When it comes to fitness, I have bad genetics. I'll never lose this weight. You know, I'm not meant to be fit, or just in life, or just even in relationships. When it's just like, and I see this every day, especially with men is telling themselves, "Oh, I'll never find a good woman," or "Oh, these women." It's all a problem with today's world. There's all these women and the delusion, and it is what it is. But you have to realize the more you guys tell yourselves this, it only reveals the true problem behind it, which is you have a fixed mindset. You avoid challenges because the failures scare you so much when in reality it's simply off your mindset. You're scared. The failures scare you so much more than just staying the same. So what do? You settle for average. You protect your ego and spend more time making excuses rather than taking action. But the truth, your mindset is the reason why you stay broke, out of shape, stuck in a dead end job, and be ignored by the woman you actually want rather than the ones you settle for. So, point number 2, the growth mindset advantage. When it comes to a growth mindset is the belief that you can improve if you put in the work. For fitness, you may say, I may not have the body I want yet, but every workout, every meal, every time I track all my weights, log in like my diet, all those steps, all those actionable steps are getting me closer. Now let's bring it to life. Like I don't know the skill yet because now you're coming from a place of learning. A lot of people just want to stick to what they know when in reality, what they know isn't good enough to be at the level that they truly want. So in life, so when you look at it from that perspective, then it's like, oh, let me learn a skill. And as you're trying out this skill and learning about it with a growth mindset, you'll say, I don't know the skill yet, but I can learn it and use it to level up. And now let's bring it back to a relationship, especially when it comes to anything, let alone the women that are in your life or who you choose, or thinking and having this idea that you're not good enough for anyone, or I just have people who bring me down constantly and there's nothing I can do about it. But in a growth mindset, you look at those relationships that you have and you go, I'm not stuck. I can improve myself and better people will show up in my life. And that's what it comes down to, guys, especially when it comes to relationship with the people around you. It's like you have to realize that the toxic friends or the woman that you truly don't want is the standard that you're accepting currently. And I made another video about this on my channel. I'll be sure to link it down below in the description. But it's simply the standard that you accept. But with a growth mindset, you'll understand that you'll one accept that reality that you're accepting these people around you and you're choosing these women that you don't really desire. But two, you understand that it doesn't have to always be this way. You can improve yourself. You can actually get away from those toxic people that you're around. You actually have the choice, and you actually know that the world isn't as small as you think, and that you can meet better people that resonate with the goals that you have in mind, or the goals that you want to achieve to be at a certain status or a certain level. And there's other people that can resonate with those like can resonate with other like-minded individuals. So a growth mindset flips failure into fuel, understanding that there are ways that we can improve. Instead of I can't, you start asking, how can I? You start being interested, you start asking questions, maybe from certain people that are in the position that you want to be. Maybe asking yourself rather than disqualifying yourself immediately by going, I can't. You find ways of how can I? What can I improve? You learn from your mistakes. That shift is why men build businesses. That shift is why men get lean, attract better women, while others stay complaining about why nothing changes, which will lead to my third point. Why this matters as a man. Look, at the end of the day, guys, life is already hard enough as a man. The minute you're born, you're already playing in hard mode. You may be coddled a little bit, but once you can walk on your own, take a shit on your own, eat, sleep, all that stuff, like you already start from the ground. There's no handouts, and you start to realize that no one is coming to save you. Even early on, guys, that is a man's life. So it's super important to develop a growth mindset early on, because the growth mindset makes you the architect of your life. You get to live live life on your terms, rather than a fixed mindset that makes you play victim, which a lot of people do. For example, in your career, a fixed mindset man will say, I'll never make six figures. And chances are, when you say something in terms of what you're going to do, or what you can't do, most likely you're speaking it to existence. So when you tell yourself, I'll never make six figures, chances are you're probably going to not make six figures. Whereas a growth mindset, men learn new skills. They're able to take risks. And with those risks, create an opportunity. I'll give you an example. For one, it will be maybe making an investment, right? Let's say you want to get to a certain monthly income. Let's say 10K, right? Because that's a lot of everyone always throws out 10K, 10K, you know, and some even higher numbers. But 10K usually is the first thing in mind, especially when you're starting off your journey for financial freedom or whatever the case. So when it comes to making an investment, right, that takes risks, especially in today's, because you got to do your due diligence, you got to do your research. You gotta know, like, can I trust this person? All that stuff. No one wants to get scammed and all that stuff. But you also have to realize that the risk comes with a reward. So in investing, obviously, there's good investments and there's bad investments. But the only way you're gonna learn is if you take that action, if you take the risk. The worst you have to look at it as the worst thing that could happen is maybe program wasn't as good as I thought, but I still learned some things that are gonna get me further ahead in what I need to do, rather than wasting years not knowing. You know, so But let's say things turn out good. You made a great investment, and now you're 10 years ahead of where you would have been if you never took that risk. The risk creates the opportunity for that to even happen. But you also have to realize, especially when it comes to having a growth mindset, you have to realize in terms of taking that risk, especially when it comes to investing, you have to think of it in a sense. You have to look at money as an abundance, you know, rather than the fixed mindset that you probably have right now in terms of like, oh, I don't have enough. Oh, I don't know if this is the right time. Because best believe there is no right time for anything. There is no right time for anything. And for the ones who truly want something, they're always going to make it work. Think of it in a sense of if your mother needed to go to the hospital immediately, you're not going to think twice on that. You're going to act as you should and get her to that damn hospital. But it's the same thing with investing, right? Because you have to have the ability to take risk, because you have to look at it in a sense of, let's say in terms of financial gain, and you want to end up being someone who makes 10K a month. How would that 10K a month version of you go about certain situations? Would he wait? Would he ponder? Or would he do anything it takes for him to achieve his goals or get to the next level? That's how you have to think about it in terms of why developing a growth mindset is so important, because it allows you to think that way in terms of risk, and with those risks create opportunities. So let's bring it to a relationship now. A relationship, when it comes to having a fixed mindset, men, especially in today's era, complain about the women, like, oh, women this, women that. But the thing is, guys, all that stems, all those complaints about how women are this, and like, oh, I wouldn't bother, you know what I mean? Oh, like, oh, these women don't see me, oh, they're not feeling me, and this is how it's always gonna be. It's always gonna stay like that. It's always gonna be like that. But the growth mindset, man, doesn't complain about those about anything in terms of, especially when it comes to relationships with the opposite gender, guys. A growth mindset man looks in ways to improve their fitness, confidence, standards, well groomed, style. So, and the reason why they'll do that is because they know that improving in all those areas, and especially within themselves, will attract the right woman to them. Attract rather than chase. Because when you have a fixed mindset, guys, especially when it comes to women, and you have all these ideologies, all these different perspectives, figure out a way to why, oh, I'm not getting women because so and so said this or so and so said that. So you know what? I'm gonna just believe them and do nothing about it. But that's all just by having a fixed mindset, guys. That will keep you stuck. That will keep you having the same results. That will keep you chasing rather than growing and improving. So let's bring it in terms of fitness as well, which I talk a lot about in this channel. But with a fixed mindset, men will say, I've tried before and failed. And they just stop right there. Whereas in a growth mindset, men track their meals, stay disciplined, keep going until they succeed. So whether something failed you before, get back up, try, find something new, keep pushing. Guys, we can't just think that things need to be rushed. Like, this process takes time, but it's understanding that with time creates that discipline. But it's all when you develop that growth mindset, that keep going. Understand that results don't just come a few weeks in, a good week. It's every single day until you succeed. So when you grow as a man, every area improves: your physique, your finances, your energy, your confidence. This all compounds once you start shifting your mindset into a growth mindset, because you have, whether you like it or not, you have to understand that right now you are operating in a fixed mindset, and it's only until you shift this mindset into a growth mindset that areas in your life will start to improve. So, how to build a growth mindset. So, this is where I'll take some notes, guys. This is where you have to reframe failure. Stop seeing it as proof you're not good enough. See it as feedback. Every L is a lesson. So, whenever you tell yourself, like, oh, I'm not good enough, oh, I'm a bum, all this stuff, you have to rephrase that to being like, how can I improve? Oh man, I messed up here, but you know what? This is all feedback. What did I do wrong this time that I can improve on? That way, I make sure this doesn't happen again. That way, I make sure this isn't a repeated pattern. Because that's what it is. Most of the things, guys. If you ever feel like stuff is a repeated pattern and it fail, you continuously fail and you're continuously stuck in the same spot year after year. It's simply because you haven't learned the lesson. You haven't learned the lesson. You haven't developed your mind to shifting to a growth mindset. You're looking at failure as an end all be all instead of looking at it as feedback, instead of learning from it, instead of thinking, you know what am I doing consistently? What actions am I taking? How am I carrying myself each and every single day to where I'm ending up in the same situation over and over? What am I doing wrong? So another thing is embrace discomfort. Growth only happens when you're uncomfortable. That's why the gym works. It's pain for strength tomorrow. Same goes for career and relationships. Like guys, like when it comes to chasing success and stuff, especially as a man, you got to realize that you have to embrace the struggle. These are the times that you're going to look back on and be like, man, I am so glad I still pushed myself through. Those are the times that you're going to remember. Those are the times that you're going to remember and be like, all those uncomfortable times is what's growing me. So rather than complaining about it and being like, woe is me, embrace it. Start embracing it, because you got to realize pain is what creates the strength. Pain is needed. I've discussed this before in previous videos, but pain is needed, especially as a man. So going on to my next point is you got to track your progress. Start tracking your progress. Write down your workouts. Every workout, start writing them down. We have notes on our phone. We can just write them out. Start tracking your finances. Start looking at those bank statements and all that, and start realizing where the money's really going. Are you spending it on dumb shit like going out to the clubs and shit with money you don't really have? How are you spending your money? Think before you just spend. Is this product, is this purchase is this purchase going towards my goal? Is this something I need right now? Or is it just something that is short-term pleasure? Start tracking your finances as well, let alone the gym. And even your habits too, guys. Like, start looking at your day-to-day and write down what do you do throughout the day? What time do you wake up? What time do you go to work? What do you do outside of work? How many hours are you spending watching TV? How many hours are you wasting? What time are you going to bed? How are you eating? What places are you going to? Do you find yourself frequently at? Am I active? Am I getting my steps? 10K steps minimum, the bare minimum? Or drinking water? Can I get a gallon in a day? How much water am I drinking? Start finding out the habits that you're doing on a day to day, because the numbers don't lie. The numbers don't lie. The data will show you that effort compounds. So if you're doing a whole bunch of negative stuff and you're looking at that list like, holy shit, then you start realizing, oh, I see why my life is not where it's at right now. So start writing these down, everything. Start tracking, start tracking all these habits, workouts, finances. Start tracking it all. So then you have a glimpse, you have an idea of what's happening on an everyday basis. Now going to my next point is surround yourself with accountability. A man who isolates will stay stuck. And guys, I have to tell you guys, I've been so guilty of this. I've been so guilty of this in the past. Now, I definitely believe every man has to have a certain moment in their life in terms of isolation. I think is a very important chapter as a man, because a lot of us find ourselves just being amongst groups, just being amongst groups that really serve us no good, or constantly need to be around. If you can't even enjoy your own company, guys, that's a serious problem. That's a serious problem. But in terms of this, although I say there is a chapter in every man's life that they should isolate and be able to reflect and ponder on their thoughts, there there also is a point in time where we need to get ourselves amongst like-minded individuals, people who are on the same path of growth, coaching, things that will push you beyond your own excuse. Because coming from my experience, guys, one of the best things I've invested in is definitely mentorship and being part of like-minded individuals, being able to share thoughts, being able to share problems that I have, and look at other people's perspective and how they would handle it. Especially having a mentor by your side who can undo a lot of errors they made in their previous life in order for your benefit, to teach you what you should do and not have you be stuck for years. Mentorships are very important, guys. Even coaching too. For me, I do coaching in terms of fitness, but I still have my own coach too, guys. And that helped me out a lot in terms of understanding macros, diet plan, how to keep in workouts, following a structure to get me to the physique that I had. So all that stuff is important, guys, and it will push you beyond, because everyone's gonna be it's holding you accountable in all areas, because everyone else is pushing in there, so you can't be the weak link. You will be called out. You should be called out. But take it in a sense of it's coming from a place of love. So anyone who critiques you in terms of like, or pushes you or calls you out on your bullshit, take it from a place of love, because if someone's not doing that, they're not really your friend. They really don't want you to be the best version of yourself. And last point I'll make here is choose discipline over feelings. Motivation comes and goes, guys. Like, I have days where I really don't want to do shit, but the one thing that separates men who change their lives and the ones who stay the same is discipline, guys. Like, discipline over motivation any day of the week. Going back to my point in terms of days where like I don't feel like doing anything, the best thing I've learned to do on those days is still do something. For me, in terms of posting here for you guys to give you information to help you, it's super important for me to at least even just like not only just posting on the daily, but just giving value each and every single day. Because I know there's someone out there who's seeking this knowledge, seeking this guidance, especially in today's age, in today's world where, you find men going through depression, not knowing what to do, having rough backgrounds, not having a good surrounding. And me knowing that and being able to have someone be 1% better each and every single day, especially even in my coaching, guys, I have to lead by example. I have to not only lead by example, but understand that there's other people in need of that, of help. So you have to understand that in this life it's bigger than you. But running with that discipline to know that each day I got to push myself, no matter how I feel. I know that taking this action in terms of posting daily, in terms of working out, in terms of checking on my guys each and every single day, that's me operating from a growth mindset. That's me operating in a sense of discipline, rather than just let my feelings dictate how I operate on the day to day. If the days that are sluggish are holding you back, do some fucking push-ups or something. Grab some coffee and go. Don't think, one day I woke up later than usual. I didn't wake up and do my morning routine and all this shit. No. What you do is the moment you get up, you still do what you need to do, what you have been doing, and just try to get some rest early on. But the work starts immediately the moment you wake up. But be grateful in general that you woke up and take it from there. Don't dictate your actions through feelings. You know, we gotta take action. We gotta stay accountable even on the worst days. So that's basically breaking down in terms of steps of what you need to do and how to shift your mindset into having a growth mindset over a fixed. So if you're ready to stop living with a fixed mindset and start growing as a man in your body, your life, and your confidence, then you just got to stop waiting, guys. There's no right opportunity, you know? And if you're looking for that guidance, if you're looking to build confidence and grow, that's exactly what I offer in terms of my KM program, where inside this program, I give you a blueprint in terms of customized training, nutrition, accountability, the mindset tools to shift you from average to elite. You don't just get a plan, you get a structure that forces growth each and every single day. Because at the end of the day, this isn't just about fitness, it's about becoming the man you need to be. Straight up, guys. So there'll be a link down below for you to book that call. But again, I only want men who are ready. You know, if you have a fixed mindset and you haven't worked on yourself to develop that growth mindset and you want to stay the same, don't book that call. But if you want to actually make changes and have your trajectory when it comes to life push up and improve on the day to day, then definitely book that call with me and my team, and we'll see what we can do in terms of your fitness goals. But that's it for today, guys. If you're new to the channel, definitely be sure to like, comment, subscribe, as I'll be dropping more gems. But until then, see ya.